Welcome to Season 2 of Before Dieting. I'm your host, Bronwyn Fletcher. This podcast is part of the Waiting for Happiness project that uses systems thinking to find the reasons for women's recurring weight problems, reasons that dieting can never fix. Before I developed the Waiting for Happiness programs, I had listened to the stories of more than 1,000 women in their 40s, 50s and 60s, all who were struggling to lose weight. Their history showed that they could lose weight, but no matter how much they lost, the weight always found its way back. As you would expect, many had tried the same weight loss diets, but that was where the similarities ended. Some had begun gaining weight in childhood, others during their teenage years. Many of them had struggled to lose weight after the birth of their children. And then there were others who couldn't pinpoint an exact time, but they knew when the diets they relied on had stopped working. After a while, I could see that if I spoke to 10 women, there would be 10 different reasons for their weight gain, 10 different ways they tried to lose weight, and 10 different results even when they used the same diets. Every woman I spoke to had a story to explain her weight. A lot of times the story focused on what they ate, describing it as one-liners like "I'm a chocoholic" or "I've got a portion size problem," and a really common one was "I just eat too much." Others focus more on the solutions rather than on what they were eating. So common statements here were things like "I just need better eating habits," or "I haven't found the right diet yet," or "I know what to do, I'm just not doing it." And each of these reasons made sense and were easy to understand. And that, in fact, is the trap. Our brains love a problem that sounds simple and logical, something that can be captured in a neat one-liner. When the brain hears it, it can then give you a single-word answer. It can tick the box and say, "Got it, solved it, let's move on." But when you can name the problem and the solution in one breath, the story is never investigated further or at any depth. Once the brain has given you that answer, there's no reason to keep looking. The weight becomes the problem to fix, while the deeper structure that is causing the weight stays untouched. After a while, I realised what sat behind those stories and one-liners were a set of eating rules that had slowly formed into an eating system, systems that lived beneath conscious awareness but yet drove semi-automatic overeating, taking in much more food than the body needed. But the tricky bit was that each woman's eating system was unique. And it makes sense because eating systems are built from our life experiences, the rules we absorbed in childhood, and of course those food strategies that we developed to survive. You might recall last week I talked about Joanne's eating system, where a lack of food autonomy in childhood set her up for a lifetime of overeating and struggling to lose weight. In today's episode, I'll dig deep into my conversation with Carmela. She had food as love at the centre of hers. First though, here's some background. Carmela grew up in a household with her mother and older sister after her father walked out on the family when she was 5. Carmela told me that she had been overweight since she was in primary school. And when their father left, food filled the gap, with her mother creating an endless stream of meals and sweets to distract and comfort them and basically to hold the family together. In the household, Friday nights were special. With music blaring, Carmela and her sister would dance around the kitchen while their mother cooked the dishes they loved. As they got older, the pressure to lose weight kicked in. But Carmela knew it would only work if all three of them dieted together. That's when the on-again, off-again dieting started. And it's also where things got really tricky because food wasn't just fuel, it was love and belonging. And the moment they started a diet, all of that seemed to disappear. After Carmela and her sister had both married, they lived within 2 blocks of their mother. They kept the Friday night ritual going, and now the husbands were part of it too. Then a career opportunity came up. Carmela's husband, who'd worked for an investment company, was offered the chance to open a new branch office in Japan. So they rented out their house and moved to Tokyo for 2 years. As might be expected, Carmela experienced culture shock, but none more so than in her Japanese kitchen. It was tiny and not built for baking or the kind of sprawling sensory cooking that marked her family Friday nights. She described to me that Japanese cuisine is tiny portions with not a lot of sugar or sauces. And so while living in Tokyo, Carmela found herself eating very differently. And over 2 years, she lost a significant amount of weight, and she said not once did she ever feel hungry. When she returned to Australia, Friday night meals were suddenly awkward. There was a coolness and she didn't quite fit in. Her mother and sister were constantly joking about how thin she was and how she could do with a good meal. Carmela felt excluded and a bit lonely. She quickly figured out that to fit back in, she'd have to return to the old ways of eating, which would mean returning to her old body. And she wasn't prepared to do that. She would have to find another way that didn't involve food to be included in the family again. So in essence, Carmela's eating systems said belonging to this family means following these rules. Yet a 2-year break gave her an opportunity to disconnect from those eating rules associated with what would be called family loyalty. For Carmela, the eating system that created comfort and love through food was powerful but problematic. It created the very problem all three of them were always trying to solve. If we say food is love, it's a simple phrase, but it explains a universe of eating behaviour. There are risks when someone stops following the family rules. And for Carmela, she discovered that breaking away from family food traditions can lead to being excluded. For her, the answer is the same as for all of us. We have to build new systems, new rituals, and new ways of finding connection that don't require you to sacrifice yourself in the name of the old. It isn't quick, but these things rarely are. But awareness brings the possibilities of new beginnings. My intention with this episode is to have you thinking about your own family rituals and your own food story. Here's 2 journaling questions to start that conversation with yourself. The first question is, what are the unspoken family rules that you're following when it comes to food? And the second one is, what did you learn about food and love when you were growing up? Thanks for tuning in. If you're gaining new insights into your own weight story, please do me a big favour and give the podcast a rating and leave a comment. It helps other women find us. As always, thanks for listening. I'll talk with you next week.